Hello, welcome to the NCGA Valant Ag Weather Outlook for August 13th, 2016. I'm John Felt. Well, precipitation over the past 7 days and over the future 7 days is going to be produced by two very different type systems. Take a look at Minnesota and Iowa. This is the last week, and these were more regionalized weather situations, what I would call synoptic, due to regular weather features over parts of the country. Pretty soaking rain over parts of Minnesota and Iowa. Rivers are running quite high. We have flooding in a few spots, so it's getting quite wet in those areas, and here we're getting into a time of year when it could be quiet. But take a look at the Gulf Coast. You've heard of this here. This is this tropical system that's been sitting out in the Gulf of Mexico. Started in the Northeast Gulf, now pushed over into the Western Gulf, and some of that moisture will be pushing up towards the north over the next week. Now, some areas could use additional rain and other areas not. We're getting sort of a real mix here where areas in green don't necessarily need much additional rain. Parts of Missouri, parts of Iowa, and Minnesota. Then as we get into the eastern Corn Belt, parts of Michigan, parts of Indiana, and definitely Ohio need additional rain. So keep that in mind as I show where the rainfall is expected to fall this week. Temperatures last week above normal, extremely hot over the eastern part of the U.S. and the northeast U.S. with records set. Texas also quite hot. So here's the jet stream this week. It's not really going to help us a whole lot with the weather story. It's sort of a quiet jet stream. Matter of fact, for the next several weeks, there's jet stream. It's not going to be all that impressive. It's going to be a typical summertime jet stream. Temperatures this week are going to be held down by moisture pulling in from the Gulf. That's that area in blue, so temperatures will be held down due to rain and clouds, and that will affect parts of the Corn Belt. Now, the upper Midwest, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, not as much impacted. Minnesota's not as much impacted, so warmer than normal temperatures in those regions. But the big story this week is going to be the interaction of this tropical moisture with this frontal boundary. And this is on Monday, late Sunday and Monday, and you can see here, look at the flow here. That moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico is be pulling right up here. It's going to interact with that boundary, and we're going to have very heavy rain along parts of this boundary here from the south central U.S. right up into the eastern Corn Belt, parts of the eastern Corn Belt. And you can see that deep moisture. It's just sitting out there right now. This is a moisture channel image, and the brighter shades of white there indicate very deep moisture. And you can start to even track that here. This is some radar. You can track it already pulling up here and just starting to have some interaction here with heavy precipitation. So here's your rainfall forecast for the next 7 days. Again, southern Illinois, not as much needed rainfall, but then as we get into parts of Indiana and especially Ohio, that's where we need that rain. Now, Ohio is going to be right where it starts to sort of let up, so any rain will be helpful, but it looks like that's not quite as certain as further off to the southwest. But it looks like very heavy rain. Louisiana, perhaps eastern Texas, right across almost the entire state of Arkansas, southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, parts of Indiana, and Ohio are going to be the spots most likely to receive the heavy rain. More scattered rain up to the north over Minnesota. Now we get into the middle to latter part of August here. You can see just a jet stream as well to the north. And like we've seen all summer is if you're in that jet stream pattern, that's where our chance of rain will be. So North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, perhaps the Great Lakes is the best chance. Here are your temperatures expected over the 6 to 10 day period. And then as we get into the end of August here, what you see is the jet stream, this dip here. And this will probably bring a cool front down and give us a chance of rain in this area and also some energy further off into the eastern Corn Belt. So this is not a completely dry forecast. This is a forecast of at least chances of rain like we've seen all summer, going right through the end of August here, and even some cool down. And you can see that on the precipitation anomalies. Here's week 1, very clearly where that band of heavy rain is. And I want to say don't get totally locked in on either the amounts of rain or the alignment, because that will be changing day to day a bit. But right now models seem to be becoming a little bit more consistent with this rainfall pattern. And here's week 2, again with that jet stream active over the upper Midwest and then that little bit of a dip. you can see that lots of green over the Corn Belt. So I think the story is either excessive rainfall in small parts this week or adequate rainfall just about everywhere else through the month of August. That pattern that has started in July looks like it's going to continue. Now there are some hazards here. They are heavy rain, and you can see areas of flooding in that light shade of purple. But basically, I think that's what we need to keep an eye on this week, pinpoint where that heaviest rain is. Elsewhere, it's going to be a fairly quiet week, but I think overall we're looking at adequate rainfall over the entire Corn Belt, and in some cases we could have some problems with excessive rainfall. Hope you have a great week. Talk to you again next weekend.